Thanks, Phoenix Light, for sponsoring this week's interview. The best design comes from the actual needs of users. Phoenix takes providing mobile lighting products with excellent performance as the goal and born for harsh environments as its mission. Never forget where you started and your mission can be accomplished. Gosh, that sums up our guest this week, doesn't it? Never forget where you started and your mission be accomplished. If you're needing a head torch, patrons can get 10% off, and all you lovely listeners can get 5% off with the code TNT5. Pop over to www.phoenixlight.co.uk. We should say hello and welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. I'm Eddie Sutton.
And I'm Gary Thwaites. This week we chat with super trooper Anna Troup. I love this conversation because it went from, I don't want to spoil it too much, I think people do know, if they listen to us, they know that Anna did win the Summer Spine Race, but it went from she would run regardless if there was races to actually being Summer Spine champ. Yeah, it's always a joy. And just like Deb's, it's been too long since we've had to catch up with some of these guests. So yeah, I really enjoyed our hour and a bit that we spent chatting with Anna Troup. Anna Troup is a powerhouse in British ultra running. Her story is nothing short of epic. After dominating the Montane Summer Spine Race in 2021 and 2022, she suffered a serious foot injury that kept her sidelined for nearly 3 years. But in June 2025, at the age of 55, she made a jaw-dropping comeback, winning the 268-mile race outright in 84 hours, 56 minutes and 37 seconds, finishing more than 6 hours ahead of the next competitor. What makes her journey remarkable? She didn't start ultra running until she was in her 40s. She holds multiple course records, including the Pennine Way and previous Spine Race editions. She's also a qualified lawyer and works in financial management. Her recovery from the broken foot was grueling, involving years of uncertainty and setbacks, but she kept up her fitness with watt bike sessions and sheer determination. She's deeply connected to the ultra running community and credits their support for helping her return to racing. Her story is a masterclass in resilience. Oh my goodness.
I feel a bit emotional listening to that, Anna.
No AI is what I say, Eddie.
I think we need to condense these AIs though, because it's like literally that is the interview over. It's done all our work for us.
No way.
One thing AI did miss though, you now own, if that's correct, the Grasmere Gather. What makes a lawyer move to the lakes and take on the Grasmere Gather?
Well, the move to the lakes is the easy bit. The move to the lakes was because we spent so much time on the M6, Gary, and because I was non-exec, didn't need to be in an office in London all the time, and there was that element of virtual to life. So we were actually planning to move up here back in 2019, and we found a house and it was a massive renovation job. The Grasmere Gather was the old Grasmere Garden Centre in the centre of the village, and it needed some love, and it just was starting to be a bit sad, and it's quite a big plot in the centre of the village. We didn't really 100% know what we were going to do with it when we acquired it, but it's become this focus for local makers and producers, and ultimately as well, it's become a bit of a meeting and hub for mountain rescue, mountain leaders, runners, obviously because it's got the parking and it's just a big space. There's not that many big spaces, and my husband Richard sort of kitted it out for muddy people, wet people, it didn't really matter how we all end up on a regular basis. And so it's just sort of slowly evolving and taken on a life of its own. In all honesty, it wasn't a super well thought through plan. It was one of those, like when the Brits go to France, Eddie, and they see a really sad old barn or farm, they think, oh my goodness, must renovate, must look after. And the French go, never. What are you thinking? Why would you? That was kind of the Grasmere Gather. And now we occasionally go, what were we thinking? What have we done? It's been really good because without that, I would have been another runner in the Lake District with a lot of ultra running friends, because a lot of ultra running friends are in the Lake District, and I'd have had this community which I would have been able to access, but for 2 years wouldn't have really been able to play with. And the Gather has given me access to the business community, which I would never have met, the making community, the creative community, which I'm so uncreative, I would never have met. And so it's embedded us in the lakes in a way that would never have happened if we'd just been here as runners, living here as runners, working elsewhere. and just having a home that we lived in here. So it's a bit of a project. It's still a project. It's still an evolution. It's just one of those things that you take on and grows legs, probably a bit like tea and trails. You started out, you're not quite sure where it's going to end up, and it just keeps evolving. So yeah, that's the gallery.
Is it a garden centre? What is it? Because if people are listening going, oh, well, so what? Rich has kitted it out. This all sounds very exciting.
It's a big shop, a really big shop, full of only things either from Cumbria or made in the UK. So it's very embedded here. And anything that's sold that's not from here today has got to tie back to the Cumbrian industrial heritage. So once upon a time, obviously Cumbria was hugely industrial. There was lots that used to go on here, farming, mining, etc., and then tourism. And so everything has to tie back to that, or it won't be in the shop. But a lot of that industry has gone, and so you can't find it here, but you can find it elsewhere in the UK. So we make sure that it's tied back and made in the UK, not designed in the UK, made in the UK, because a lot of stuff is designed, shipped over to China, wherever, and brought back. So the old garden centre was a classic garden centre that had a lot of stuff from China that we used to refer to as ending up in landfill. And so we got rid of all of that. And so we had to completely change that. So there's now a shop with a lot of running books. Lots and lots of running books. That's just sort of my library that now is there. A cycling book, like you name it, it's there. And then there was a cafe, but staffing in the Lake District is just a complete and utter nightmare, trying to find staff. And Richard and I were staring down another summer of him on pot wash, me front of house, and we just said, no, we're not doing cafe anymore. It's just too hard. If we could find staff, we would, but we can't, and we're not going to, because Grasmere's in the middle, and you've got Ambleside, and you've got Keswick, and people coming in will stop in those places before they come into the Central Lake. And the village itself doesn't have that many people who live here, and an awful lot of businesses that need people. So we thought if we close it now, everyone will get jobs. And in fact, they did within 24 hours, which tells you about the staffing in Grasmere. But as a result, we have this huge space, which was being used by these mountain leaders, and the mountain leaders were starting off their groups from there. And today, Fran from Run Like a Haggis is leading a group out. It gives people a place to start, because if you've got this terrible weather, which we get, if you're trying to meet groups in a car park, that's really miserable. And it's much better if they can get a coffee. And at the moment, we're not doing that. But, mountain leaders can sort all that out if they want to. And there's hot water urns and stuff. And so people can be quite inventive if they want to. And then it's an aid station. So the 13 Valleys obviously uses it as an aid station. We had Lakeland Trails using it as a big aid station at the weekend. So it's just a big space now that we can use for whatever people need it for, which is quite fun. And we don't have to worry about running a cafe, which is all consuming and not much fun.
Yeah, I knew it was there, but until the 13 Valleys, I'd never really been into it. And to see how you've evolved. I remember 13 Valleys coming into Grasmere, sad times, but yeah, it was quite a significant checkpoint within the race, the 13 Valleys.
It is, and it's there again. And we're meeting, Colin Murphy tomorrow, who runs the 13 Valleys, and that's still the aid station for this year. And it will still look and feel exactly the same, Gary. So the space is still the space. It's just we're not running a cafe next to it, which is helpful.
Okay, Eddie and I will come to Grasmere for the day. Where are you going to take us? We love a little 6 to 8 mile run. We want to do some work, but we need to be back in time, maybe for some gingerbread ice cream. Where are you going to take us?
Where are we going to take you? Well, it depends how much vert you want, because in Grasmere, the joy, and one of the reasons we ended up in Grasmere, is you've got the flat valleys, or you've got pretty massive stuff on either side. You are straight up into the Helvellyn Range and the Bob Leg 2, really, straight from Grasmere. Or you can go straight up into the Langdales and over, or you can just play around like Richard and I just did 12 miles and it's about 350 metres. You can do that as well. Or like when we bumped into each other, Gary, you're straight down to Loughrig up and over and you've got a lovely 8-mile loop. So yeah,
it's beautiful. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
There's lots of options. It depends if you want a bit of lake or whether you want a bit of fell, how much gnarly stuff you want.
The kind of dream is to move to the lakes, but some of the feedback I had from people who'd moved over there, they'd struggle to find somewhere if they were going to do the 400s and 800s or whatever it was, that flat 800 metres out of the door.
I'd be tempted to say to them, why are they doing flat?
Anna was like, I'm not worried about that.
What are you on about?
That's really bad planning. I suppose you'd end up using, there's nothing really flat. You're going to find an up and down where, even on the roads, aren't you? I mean, the Red Bank Road, you can do it. You could, if you really wanted to do your 400s. Really want to do your 400s? You could.
You're on the plan. I always think of it's the train track, isn't it, between Threlkeld and Keswick? Maybe you could do something there.
Wow, okay, the fast stuff. Yes, the fast stuff. I tend to just run up a hill. That gets my heart rate up. Or now, actually, I do the hard stuff on a bike.
It's a mystery, isn't it? Because your heart doesn't know. If you do measure your heart rate during a training session, it doesn't know if you're running 400 meters or 800 meters or a mile. It doesn't even know how fast you are going. Like we've talked quite often on the podcast about heat training. My heart rate is like well into threshold for some parts of that, but I could be doing like a 15-minute mile on a flat. It's it's interesting how that works.
Well, I think it's really interesting because suddenly the ultra running world is starting to look at all that. So if you read what Killian's putting out and how scientific his training has got, and then you start to look at what Jason Koop is putting out around how he trained those women that podiumed at Western States. I mean, we are moving away from perceived effort. When I get perceived effort, I do, but it's getting closer and closer now at the top end.
Probably to more what you used to do when you were rowing as well.
Yes.
Like all that L1, L2, L3, all that sort of stuff.
And the stuff that we've always lived and breathed a bit and always been those kind of weird people in trail running that would never look at. So,
I read the Jason Koop stuff though, and I was like, yeah, but that's nothing new. You're not gone. You're just transferring what other endurance sports actually have done and gone, oh, you keep getting injured. So you're going to cross train, you're going to do some weights. Anna's been doing that for the last 2 years.
And you're so right, Eddie, but in trail running, everybody's poo-pooed all that. And it's always been, heart rates, don't think about it, perceived exertion, why would you bother? And I think there's room for both of them.
There's room for all the feels and all the let's run with the nature. And that's why we love it, isn't it? If you feel like I'm not doing that, I don't feel like that, then you totally can still get the same training effect. If you're like Gary and you're like, I'm going to stick to this heart rate, it nearly always ends up like I train clients with both, like some people who would be like, I am not even wearing a watch. And some would be like, I wouldn't go out without my heart rate monitor, but they're going to end up the same fitness. They're going to do the same sort of sessions. There's no right or wrong. Is there?
And I don't know if you read Jack Kunzel on training Caleb Olsen. That was super interesting too, because he would just won't do anything on a treadmill. It's just got to be outside, and how they monitor to change that to match him. I love that. That was really good. What's he not so good at? How do we make that better? That was really, again, holistic training as opposed to just is the program. It's
got to fit the athlete. And I think a lot of it now we're seeing more and more of how people's brain work is how you fit the plan and how actually you live. We all live differently and we all work differently, and how we do our day-to-day work, how we run our homes, how we run our families. It's different. So a set plan is not going to work. You as an athlete, some people work on a to-do list, and I get through my to-do, and that means that then they might actually they tick off everything on their plan. Some people, plan is horrific and they just want to wake up and go, today's my long run day. The sun is shining. I'm packing some honey sandwiches and off I go.
Joy miles. But then the race too, you couldn't, as much as I love heart rate, I've never gone super duper long like the spine race, but my heart rate monitor wouldn't last for days and days and days on the Pennine Way. So after a certain point, it's got to be perceived effort, or even whatever the body can manage.
So after a certain point, I take mine off. So I only use it in the first,
12 hours. 12 hours, I think.
Exactly. And then you may as well just chuck it in the bin, because your heart's going to do what your heart's going to do.
Well, you can't see it anymore anyway, because you're like, all I can follow is the line. I'm just following the line.
I'm literally following the line.
We normally ask our guests where they are, what's the view, where they've been for a run, but we've kind of ticked that box. I want to know more how you are feeling after your incredible spine victory. We were 5 weeks post spine now?
4 probably, 4.
How are you feeling? You look incredible. Fresh, skin glowing.
That's post run, Eddie. Yeah. I'm completely back to normal now. I would say it's taken till probably today, and I put in a day off deliberately, an extra one this last week, because I was just slogging through training and I was like, okay, that means I'm not quite there. I can do it, but it's not feeling great. So I put in an extra day off, and actually I think that's just kickstarted back to normal. It was classic family chaos immediately after the spine, because we were straight into end of uni terms, Oxford balls for the youngsters, because that's where they're at uni. Moving one to Paris. So my first, literally moving on to Paris this is all within the week of finishing the spine.
Your poor legs.
So the whole thing. I was at Oxford Ball on the Saturday after the spine had finished on the Wednesday. You can imagine shoes. I was like,
no, you didn't. Did you manage to get
3 hours in proper shoes? I was there, and then the Converse went on. That was that. So it was a really chaotic recovery, which meant I didn't get enough sleep because it was back and forth all over the place. But it did mean all I was doing was walking, but I was doing quite a lot of walking. So in terms of time on my legs, again, I didn't have this sort of real down week. I think what I really find is the sleep comes back relatively quickly. You recover from the lack of sleep quite quickly. I don't know how you guys felt, but I feel really empty. I can, and low energy. So particularly of those first 2 or 3 days, you think you're fine, and then suddenly, you know what, I've just got to sit down. I've just got to sit down. I can still do stuff, but I can't do it standing up. That happens for about 48 hours, 70, and then I'm fine. That bit goes, and then I'm just voracious for 2 weeks. It's almost like I cannot get enough food down, and I will eat anything and everything, whatever I can lay my hands on for 2 weeks, because that's what it takes.
Do you find, I always find I've lost a lot of weight. I go and put my jeans on and they're like hanging, like literally, and you think in like the space of 3 days, how have I lost like 20 pounds? It must be like the body's just gone.
Yeah.
And then it goes into absolute survival of like a fierce oven that you can't fill it.
And then actually, I don't think your training comes back until you've got your body back to where it normally likes to be. I mean, I think, and again, this whole power to weight thing in running generally is always a bit of a problem. I think people think lighter is better. Actually, I often am better, slightly heavier and stronger. So I think I make sure that I just let my body get to where it wants to get to, and then the training improves. And you start to suddenly see that strength come through even after, you start to get that sort of adaptation, the benefits of that long race come through, and you start to get PRs, and you're like, oh, how did that happen? And, the Strava segments suddenly become possible about 3 to 4 weeks after. I find that after 10 or 12 days, I can suddenly do a session. I think, God, I'm genius, look at this, I'm back. And then you go back down into it. Actually, no, I haven't recovered. It was just a bit of a super compensation effort, which is jolly nice for, again, a big PR, but it's actually not real. So I've tried, as I've got older, to be much more cognizant of where I really am, as opposed to
ignoring it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say, even though I'm back to training within 2 weeks, I'm not back to recovered probably till now.
You're not building. I always say that to clients. Like, they're like, can I get back to the gym? I'm like, you've got nothing to build. You've got no protein in your body. You need to keep replenishing. You need to start moving again. That's really important, because I think as well that kicks up. You want to get a sweat on. You want to get the heart rate up, because that signals to our body back to work, get recovering.
Yes.
I think that's really important. But like you learning, like you saying, just listening and going, another day, okay, I've done that run, but actually I might then need what would normally then the next day I'd be fine to do an hour run. I might need then a day off or switch to the bike. And
mentally though as well.
Mentally, yeah, you're right. And it's weird because the watt bike is very mental. And so after the spine, it was just straight into watt biking, forget running. I don't need to do that, but let's get on a watt bike. Cadence, couldn't get cadence up for love nor money. And it's only that's just started to come back. Watts I'd have thought were really easy, just were not easy. So
it's awful, isn't it? You sit on the watts, you're like, I can't get 100. It's too hard.
So yeah, you're right, Gary. I think the mental, I mean, it's just, you're like, oh, can I be bothered? And today it's like, actually, I'm ready. Let's go for a run. And then you're back.
Can I be bothered to do any more 400 metres down the old railway lines?
Anna was not doing your flat 400 metres.
Right on my top list of things to do today, Gary. Oh, I must go and do some quick 400s. No.
Richard's going to be listening. He's going to be like, yeah, maybe we need to add this to our training plan now, Anna, some 400 meters. We've got some questions for you, Anna. Well, we've got heaps of questions from listeners, because lots of people, I think, are amazed at what you've gone through the last few years, and then being able to race, and then the way you handled that race. Again, I think people as well are like, will watch that dot in like awe of its movement, its continuous movement. So Dawn Eccles asks, this is about motivation. She says, firstly, congratulations to Anna on her epic win. I've been running for 8 years, but recently injury has forced me to DNS a few races. Oh, that's a bummer, Dawn. Sorry. Dawn would love to know what drives Anna to keep pursuing her running goals, and how does she mentally overcome the setbacks and go through training again and again? That's a great question, because if you're sitting on the injury bench now, you're top on the injury bench and you haven't been subbed on for a long time.
I mean, I've come to the conclusion I'm someone who actually really likes training. In fact, I like training more than racing.
I hear you. I'm in that camp. Yeah.
If I probably never raced, other than ego, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I just love being really fit. And I love the idea that people can say, let's go and climb up that, and I'm fit enough to go with them. It used to be in my younger days, I want to be good enough at skiing that if someone says, let's go on a ski holiday, I can ski with them. And now it's the same, but it's like I can get on a bike or go. So for me, just staying super fit is a joy. So that is what I suppose kept me motivated through injury, because I knew that if I was never a runner again, there would be something else I could do. I didn't know what that was, and I didn't know how it would manifest, but I wanted to be able to do whatever that thing was at a high level. I think the really sad thing is as well, at 55, you start to look at, 25 years is not that far out. And when you add 25 to 55, it's a really big scale. So then you start to go, what do I want to be able to do at 75, 80? What does that mean I have to do now? But also, let's say I pick up a real problem in the next 15, 20 years. How do I want the next 15 years to be? So how fit do I have to stay to go and do that long hike or go and walk around the TMB or whatever I want to do? What does that look like? I think that was the real motivation for me being injured. I hadn't, until I suppose 2 years in, accepted I might never be a runner again. And at that point, my making peace was I want to be able to hike. So at that point, I just lent into, I've got to recover so I can hike. And if that means time off my feet, fine, I'll do it. And that was where the watt bike came in, because really good hikers are really hard to keep up with. And the minute you put a big pack on, you've got to be super fit. So that was the motivation. But the bottom line is I just really like fit training. 2 hours on a watt bike is quite dull, but you can do a lot of other things. I've watched an awful lot of Netflix documentaries.
Let's dive into that. I'm interested on that. What's your Netflix? Which way are you going? Because Gary and I are very different Netflix. I'm
a sports documentary girl, and Netflix has them all, and I do love those. So we've worked our way through all of those, and things like Tour de France Unchained at the moment. We're on Bravery, Happy Days, Drive to Survive. We watched the whole lot. That rugby one, Contact.
It's good, that one, isn't it? That's on and repeat. That's on and repeat in our house at the moment. I hear it oh God, they're in the Welsh dressing room again.
I find all of those really fascinating, and then you just sort of go into other documentaries, and Netflix takes you down the old rabbit hole, and then you can watch some of the sort of rubbish that's quite fun, like White Lotus because it happens to be on, or Severance because it happens to be on. So we work our way through TV we wouldn't do otherwise. So
Severance, 10 out of 10 Severance, Anna. 10 out of 10 for Severance. Love that.
Like that one.
So Dawn, hope that helps a little bit, that focusing on what the future you might think when you're training. Don't focus on like, I'm training to do this race. I'm actually training healthy body, healthy mind, and 20 years time, me being able to move. And like you say, my biggest thing is to be able to do adventures with friends. If I never raced again, wouldn't be the end of the world, but I want to be the first one. And also I want to be able to make sure I can beat all my kids still climbing up mountains.
You'll start to lose that one, Eddie, let me tell you.
I've lost that. And they go, Mum, you're really out of breath. Or like running downhill, they're like, we thought you were a trail runner, like you're on knees, and then you do something, warm up a little bit before we hurtle off down this hill. How did you mentally then, the bravery it took to step up to the spine start with your last race was, you did that 20K, didn't you, at Nice to get a UTMB pebble, quite a few. How brave did you have to be? How mentally strong did you have to be? Like, or did you find you just were like, I'm just going to start, it will be what it will be?
So the way I dealt with that was I sort of put a couple of little tests in for myself, which are on Strava. I put everything on Strava because I feel a bit of a responsibility that people look and I feel they should be able to see. The warts and all is there. So I did a little half marathon. When I set off for a hard run, Gary, and unlike yours, which is on the programme, I sort of set off and then it's like, oh, this feels okay. Oh, I'll go a bit faster. Oh, I am going fast now.
Okay.
I do that too. Yeah.
Oh, and now is that how you do it?
I'm feeling good, so I'm going to push. Okay, 20 minutes, I'm going to push and see. I'll get to the top. Oh, that's a workout. Done. Great.
Oh, okay. So that half marathon was one of those where it just got better and better. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to try for an under 150. I'm just going to keep going. And so it was that was a good mental moment. But then it did take 2 or 3 days for my foot to recover. So it's like, okay. And then I thought, I've got to do something long with a pack, because I think when you haven't been trail running for the longest time, you forget. We're all like, oh, your pack, you know where stuff is. You can do this with your hands. It's all very automatic. And I'd lost all of that. So I didn't even know how to pack my pack. I definitely had forgotten how to navigate off a watch. Couldn't remember any of that. We were automatically, your buttons, you know what to do. Couldn't remember how to zoom in, zoom out. So mentally, I sort of loaded the lap course, which I'd never done before, onto my watch. Richard was doing the Fred Whitton. So we both got up early. He went off and did his Fred Whitton. And I went out with a full spine pack and just went and did 48 miles, mostly around the lap course, got myself lost. There was no pressure other than it was a really hot day. But mentally, I felt I needed to know that I could do that. What did it feel like? I blew myself up without question. And I got back and I was like, absolutely broken. I was like, oh God. This is Hebden and I am broken. Is this going to play out? So I put that sort of in the back pocket. Okay, I've done 50 miles. That's fine. You'd never do more than that, really. That'll do. And then I thought I was okay mentally. But then the night before, I got zero sleep. Usually you fall asleep, get a few hours, maybe wake up if you're nervous. But I got completely nothing. Woke up. It was an absolute shocker. So got out of bed, as the alarm went off. It was a case of heart rate's up 30. And I do work on heart rate. It was like, oh dear, maybe I've got a bug. Maybe I can't race. Headache. And Rich is like, just take some paracetamol. It's either going to work and you're going to be all right, or you're going to be stopping within 5 miles. You just don't know. So you may as well start. We're here now. So just get to that start line. So I think that was probably, and John Knapp, the consultant psychiatrist in the community, was very clear. What your whole mental psychology was working through what this race meant. Would you ever be able to again? Were you going to be able to complete? Are you surprised you didn't sleep, Anna? I was like, well, actually, I was surprised, but now you put it like that, John. No. Yeah. So mentally, I think I thought I was okay, but actually, I was probably a complete mess, in all honesty, because I had no clue how it was going to play out. The only promise I'd made to myself was if my foot started to go, and don't forget, I'd done UTMB in 2022, knowing that my foot was on the brink when I started, with my eldest daughter going, if it breaks during the race, you're out for 6 months. Are you sure you want to take that risk?
Yeah.
And taking the risk and finishing and knowing then it was broken. I wasn't going to do that again. So I learned what was important. What was important was being able to get out into the fells and hiking. And so my ego was firmly in my back pocket and I would have stopped. And I told the spine organisers, I'm going to start, but I may stop. So I sort of put that out there to them. And they'd been really good on media. They hadn't made a big song and dance about the fact I was starting. Will had been amazing because he was just like, right, no pressure, just turn up, see how it goes. So mentally, it may have looked all right, but no, generally it wasn't all right.
I think that's really brave of you to say that, because and also stepping back onto a path that has your history on it was really brave, because you could have stepped back on it and then the ghost of previous you, that is mentally a really hard battle. You can't battle that person because she's different. And so stepping onto a race where everybody knows you, everybody knows your name, that was really brave. You had quite a steady start, would you say? You were like, I'm just gonna, well, John Shield made it look like a steady start as well, because he was up like a rocket.
I think, all the way to checkpoint 1, you definitely weren't in the lead. And for context for listeners, that's about 10 hours. What was that like, watching people drift off?
Same as every year, Gary. They all disappear up the road, racing to Hebden. So what I didn't realise was people were looking at my record, because they now put that record, don't they, in the little thing. I have no clue. I mean, whatever people say, I am not looking at a phone. I'm not looking at where I am. I can only just manage my poles, me, and the watch. Forget everything else. So this idea that I know where I am and I'm on my own record pace was quite funny when someone told me, but were you following your own record pace? It was like, no, I was just doing my thing. So I set off at my pace, in all honesty, and everyone else goes off like rockets. So I'm on my heart rate. And so I've woken up with it up 30, and I'm just making sure that it doesn't go bonkers.
That must have smarted a bit going up Jacob's Ladder at the start. Did it feel quite hard work, or did it settle? No,
it settled. So I think with the benefit of hindsight, it was no sleep and just totally bonkers nerves that I hadn't recognised. And by then, probably the paracetamol kicked in, so I couldn't feel anything. I mean, I would often end up taking paracetamol sort of 4 or 6 hours in, when the rucksack gives me a terrible headache. I think a lot of women get that because it hits their shoulders on the bra straps. But this time that didn't happen. I didn't need any more for a very long time, until blisters kicked in way towards the end. So actually, I think the heart rate side meant that I was just steady. And I wasn't too worried. I mean, when people said, oh, you're in about 8th or whatever for the women, I was like, wow, people are really, really motoring. And so when I got to hard draw, which is It's only 108 miles in to see what was the lead lady in there. It's like, well, where's everybody gone? So I think for anyone who's thinking about doing the spine, it's a massive race to Hebden. And then for some reason, between Hebden and Hardraw, the whole thing blows up. And I think even if you were to look back and look at those amazing duels we've had, John Kelly, Damien Hall, Kim, when they've all, coined a phrase, probably blown each other up, it tends to explode somewhere between Hebden and Hardraw. And I think lots of people race 50s. Lots of people race hundreds. It's a really long section to do 60 miles on your own without much in between. And I think it just blows people mentally as well. They suddenly they suddenly go, oh my God. Or they race to Hardraw and then they go, oh, now I'm a bit tired. That was a bit hard. Because if they're doing 50 miles with a big pack, and these are heavy packs in under 10 hours, coming back to heart rate, what does that look like?
Yeah.
As soon as I put a hydration vest on, I have no problem at all getting my heart rate into like threshold zone.
It's such a different pace. And those spine packs are unbelievably heavy. Because I'm also a wimp and I don't like taking water from streams. It's like, it's like PT, and I would much rather carry my own. And so you're setting off and it's quite hot with quite a lot of water. And it was also quite warm to start with. So again, coming back to the point you were making earlier, Gary, the heat, I would love to know what people's heart rates were as they were in that first section. It would be quite interesting.
The T100 triathlon race series now, that you can see their heart rates when it comes up on them. If you're watching it on YouTube, they have big packs on them. And so you can see what their heart rate's in. That would be, hey, Spine, media team, let's get that up on open tracking and watch people's heart rates. That would be great to go.
And then see what the attrition is, Hebden to Hardraw, because I suspect that's where it all starts. The wheels are starting to fall off. Because as to the point you make right up front, your body only knows, heart rate, tiredness.
Yeah.
It doesn't know I'm being, up a hill or what I'm doing. It just knows this is where I am. So I think people don't respect enough how much hard work they're putting in. It's quite uneven as well. The minute you add uneven into your run and you're jumping over stones, heart rate's through the roof. So
I think respecting that first 100 is the absolute key to 200, 300 mile races, of like the patience that you need. It's almost, you have to learn it as well. You have to make the mistakes and know how easy you have to go in that first 100. You would do a masterclass when you do these races, Anna, in this patience. So you got to 108, feeling good, with a good thoughts, good vibes.
Well, overnight from 60 to, from Hebden to Hardraw was absolutely shocking. That's for some reason, God knows why, I always end up mega sick, feeling awful, can't get any food down. I've learned now, don't try, because then I just throw it up. That was where I met Shirley Murray and Emma Hopkinson, the two girls who were just in front. They were weirded out because I try and catch up, but then I just feel awful. So it's like, I can't be bothered. Then I try. So eventually they turned around and said, do you want to join us? Because I think they thought, what is she doing?
This old lady's on the fells. Should we take her under our wing? Oh my God, it's Hannah Troup.
So they were amazing. And because they're both fabulous fell runners, I mean, really top fell runners, those two, they move up hills really fast. Emma's feet were shot a bit, so she was into just walking, but they were walking at such a pace that actually it didn't really matter. It didn't matter if we weren't running. So we walked together overnight, which I've never done before. It's very sociable, walking along, chatting. We chatted, we covered everything, it was the mum club. We literally, I was the old lady, then Emma was in her early 40s, Shirley was at the bottom end. We covered everything. Oh, what's this like? And how does this work? And what do your children do? So we did that all night. And then we dropped Emma at Horton, where her feet really were bad. So she stopped and Shirley and I carried on. In all of that time, they'd managed to I'd had one baby bell. One of them had given me a baby bell. Because that's all I could get in. And that literally, and then Emma was dishing out the results of her pack because she was leaving us at Horton, and she went, I found another. It was like, another baby bell. So I got that down. So that was pretty much all I had all night, the two baby bells, because that was all I could physically. But I've learned it doesn't matter. We've all got enough blubber to keep us going. You're not going to keel over from no food. Your legs don't love it. You'll get a bit hungry. It doesn't matter.
But did you have a strategy though? Nick Summers, one of our listeners, that's his question basically. What was Anna's fuel and strategy? I remember a takeaway from when you came on last time. Forgive me if I've got this wrong, but I thought you prepared food, packed it in your bag, which would perish the first. So you'd eat that first. So I'm thinking you've got this all dialed in, but maybe not.
I've never got the nutrition dialed in, Gary. I've never managed it. And what we did do before the first spine was try and work out what would last in the bags. So Richard, being very scientific about it, did have stuff all over the counters watching how quickly the mold grew. So we did definitely, but again, come back to, I haven't raced for ages. So in my drop bag, everything was wrong. I had almost nothing in my drop bag I could physically eat. beyond, that first night where I can do sugar, I can get stuff down, and then suddenly I can't do any of it. So I got to hard raw, absolutely, because by then my tummy resets. Life is good, sun's up, get to hard rock, and now I can really eat. And they said, what do you want? And I said, what have you got? They've got chili con carne. Absolutely not. How about I'll have the rice. Have you got some cheese? So they've done rice, cheese, butter, and I had 3 massive bowls, just chucking this food down as fast as I can. And that was what I could get down there. And then at Tan Hill, I just stopped and got a packet of crisps and a couple of pints of lime and soda. And then I get to Middleton, and what I do have in my bag is bagels. So I give it to the bunch at Middleton, and they were toasting bagels and adding cheese for me, which I also had in my bag. Their power ran out, so they were trying to toast bagels over the gas, which was just quite...
You're like, I don't have time for this. I'm really sorry.
It's also like that. I'm not sure that's toast. But the bagels, if you toast them, I can get down. Whereas if they're just, stuff like
there's a lot of moisture needed on a dry bagel.
Yeah. So that was all. So no, I mean, to answer Nick's question, I wish I could dial in the food thing, and I just can't. It is one of my complete disasters. So I was hungry for most of the race because I was just failing to get enough in at aid stations. I could get some vanilla rice pudding down. I had that in the drop bag. But the wraps I'd made was just like, chuck those. And in the end, I just threw them away. It was just a disaster. So
it's a familiar story, my goodness.
One of my friends came to the Tea and Trails Ultra, and she said, I'm eating all the food you left after Winter 200 at our house when I was uncanned the whole bag. I went, I didn't eat any of it. I wouldn't eat any of this. It's almost like you have to gaslight yourself. I'm going to take all this food, but actually need somebody to do another shop for you and go, it's just Baby Bells you're having, right? Here you go. Let's just.
The bad thing is the next one, I won't be able to get Baby Bells down.
No, that's the thing. You'll go, I'm going to buy loads, race across Scotland, and then I'll be following little Baby Bells all the way that you've gone.
Yeah, exactly. No, the joy of Race Across Scotland is that you're allowed support.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's absolutely dreading it because he's just going to have a van full and I'll be going, no. Can you go and find? Can you go and get pizza? Can you go?
Yeah.
Licton 100, you're not allowed support crew. You can't even go in shops. And Baby Bells were one of the only... Baby Bells and Freddo, bizarrely, I could eat those on the 13 Valleys. And I don't want to carry 5 kilos of cheese around the Lake District with me. So I'm just going to go, fingers crossed, my goodness me, I don't need them on that.
They did some nice cheese sandwiches on the... You can pull out the bread and just eat the cheese, Gary.
Take the cheese. That's a good idea.
Take the cheese. When did you take the lead, Anna, on the spine? When did it all sort of... Did you have a moment when it started clicking and you were like, I remember this now? When you go through childbirth and you're like, okay, I remember what I'm going to do now.
Well, there's a couple of those moments. It's like, oh no, I remember this. That was a fine moment of, oh, what have I signed myself up to again? Shirley took her a bit more time. I stayed with her in the aid station. We were going to do the next section together. So we took quite a lot of time, probably more than I would normally have done there. And Irene had gone up the road. Then Shirley forgot her pulse. So we went back again and came out again. After Shirley decided she wasn't going to nail that next section. And suddenly my legs are back because I've eaten. So food does matter if you can get it down. It was, okay, right now I'm going. I'd seen Irene in the aid station. I was thinking, she looks all right, but I don't know how, let's have a go. I mean, she's pretty gnarly. She's a good competitor. It's not going to be easy, but I'm good uphill. So I just nailed it up Shonafel. And then on the way down, I was like, I think I can see her. And it was like, okay, right. But then also, this is where the rowing comes in. It's like, when you overtake someone, you just keep going at speed until the elastic is completely broken and they're not coming back. So I overtook her coming down Shonafel, and then I really nailed it all the way through Thwaite and onto Keld. And so made sure the distance is so big she would not see me again. So that was the women's lead. And then I was starting to feel pretty normal by now, normal for me, normal in the spine, normal 130 miles in or whatever. Crossfell was, I don't know for everybody, but certainly for the batch that were coming through at the same time as me, it was winter conditions. It was mega wind, can't see beyond the end of your nose, huge rain, everybody's freezing and getting blown off your feet. So it was really, really slow. And you're coming down off Crossfell and it's that dreadful road that goes on forever, which I'd normally be quite excited about, but I was quite tired. So it was just like, oh God, big road. And then suddenly this chap said, he was just sort of sitting on a rock like a gnome. He was like literally this little gnome figure. And he turned around and went, oh, hello, are you Anna? And I was like, yes, hello. And he said, oh, I'm John. We've never met. And we shook hands.
Did you? Double kissed.
Silly.
Oh, I don't think I'd touch either of your hands at that point in the race.
Very civilized, and he sort of slowly gets up off his rock, and then we just wander, and I mean wander 5 or 6 miles into Alston. I mean, certainly in Alston, the medic said to him, if I was you, I'd let them dry out. So that was clearly going to be a long while where he had to sit with his feet up to dry those out. I'm not great at sitting in aid stations. For me, it's like get out. Because otherwise it's just too tempting and you lose so much time. Even now you lose time. This is where I sound like a princess. But in the old days of the spine, in sort of 21, 22, where you didn't have the north, you'd arrive, you'd be the only person.
That's what it was like when I was there. So I had princess treatment. You want a little sleep? I had 4 or 5 people. Yes. For me, charging bottles. And then somebody like literally would be like, I'll walk you out, get you back on the trail, see you're okay. But I don't think it's like that anymore, is it?
It was carnage. And it is carnage in the aid stations now with, into Hebden where it's just so busy, and now all the way up the course. So John and I were parked outside because there was no room at the inn, literally. We were literally sitting outside on chairs. So I don't know how that works in the winter, Eddie. I've got no idea because there is no space. And they'd said it had been like that for 4 hours. But it means, if you think about the princess side of it, when in the old days, we could have our bags out, we could put stuff on the clean floor, we could spread out over tables. That makes it really quick.
You had a table to yourself, so you could mentally do your just spread and then repack, yeah.
Whereas now I've got a bag on the floor and it's been pouring with rain and you can't just stuff and you're eating lasagna off your lap, and the whole thing was just a very different experience, and that's not mentally calming. So you're not regenerating while you're there in quite the same way that you used to, where you sort of reset, regroup, head out. Now it's just like, so for me now it's like, okay, get what I need out and then almost regroup on the trail, take some more time where you need to later on.
And it's quite good actually, that bit after Alston, to regroup, because the nav is tricky, but you've got the time. Yeah, you've got the time to be like, it's quiet. You're really into the race. Then you're probably not racing anymore because you're well spaced out. So, had you slept yet, Anna?
No, the only sleep I had was Bellingham, where Sharon Dyson just went, sleep. It was going to be 20 minutes and it ended up being 40, but I did arrive into Bellingham going, I've fallen over, and I saw Sharon the other day and she said, you were just blabbing at me. And I'd fallen over and I had I had cracked a rib and I had a big hole in my hand, and so it was a real mess. So that was when I did good sleeping, and that was 40 minutes there. And again, I come back, I've always felt you can get away with 80 hours of nothing and you survive okay. And because I'd had that night before the race of nothing, I really struggled this time compared to normal. The sleep was a very different beast this time, and I'm fairly 100% sure it was because I'd started with none. And so Bellingham was essential. But also, even coming into Burness, I just sort of falling asleep on my poles. And I took a lot of strong coffee. It was a very different feel, let's put it that way, compared to other years.
How is your mindset now, Anna? Because you've gone in with not ideal preparation, that lack of sleep, no real, I suppose, plan, but you find yourself in the outright lead of this race. Are you running scared, or are you still just doing your own thing?
No, definitely running scared. Definitely. I mean, and there's 2 reasons for that. First is because I can be so uselessly cack-handed and get lost. And so I got really lost on Hadrian's Wall, where they took the tree down. It feels very different. And trying to find the path. It's 2 a.m. I'm ringing Richard going, I'm lost on Hadrian's Wall. And he's just like, just go east. And I don't know where east is. That's not very long. Come and pick me up. I've lost so much time. It's 2 o'clock. Just click on. You'll be fine.
It's all very familiar.
But then you start to feel I've lost at least an hour, because
I'm not going to make the cutoffs. I'm not going to make the cutoffs now. It's all over.
Everything feels huge. And then I always find the bit to Bellingham. I think they've done more forest work. So that's where I had a big fall over a log, landing on a log. And so now I'm cross and sore. But then you start to think, if I fall now, people can catch me up, and there's still a long way to the finish. So I also hate the Cheviots when I'm sleep deprived, because they're just massive. They go on forever, and I feel like someone is taking, the mick, really. You seem to be following this path that goes round and up and down and round.
They get longer every time you do them. Yeah. I think they add another Cheviot.
Oh, those slabs. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah. Oh, slabs. Wobbly slabs as well.
Oh, exactly. So it's like, come on, guys. I can't believe this. And that to me was like childbirth. It was like, I remember. Did you find a contentment in that remembering when you went to that place on the Cheviots, maybe, or going into Burness, that endless track? Were you like, it was worth it, all that cross? This is what I love doing. This is me to my soul. At the time, I just was thinking, I'm going to write it down this year.
Tattoo, no
Yeah.
spine. Oh, no.
Yeah, no. I'm going to write down how bad this is and how it feels, so it's not a surprise. And I'm going to read it before I race next time, so it's not a surprise. Because it always, for some reason, it's a surprise. And I'm trying to do all the stuff. It's the same for everyone, Anna. Stop being a baby. It's all good. And you're talking to yourself all the way through to just keep yourself moving. But also, it's just like 6 hours. And I saw people at Hut 1 and Hut 2, obviously, and they're like 6 hours, at least 6 hours. And I'm like, that's nothing. And it's really only till you get to Hut 2 and you start to do the maths, which takes forever because your brain is so addled, but you're starting to do the maths. They'd have to run at this pace to now catch me, even if I crawl.
8 miles an hour. They would have to be running over the Cheviots. Yeah.
You start to do that, but then, I'm like, John Shield's really fast. Who knows? Maybe his big drugs have kicked in.
The big drug.
Could you enjoy the running then? Because you're processing all these things, but did you have a time to enjoy that run-in?
Well, no, because, and you'll remember this, Eddie, there's that sort of sweeping traverse. You come down off the Shill and there's a sweeping traverse before you drop onto the track to get into Kirkgate. And we've all will have done this. I'm going round the sweeping traverse thinking, I am genius, I'm on my way, this is so fun. And I catch my toe, and it's one of those where you don't expect, and you're on the ground before you actually can breathe. And I'm on the ground, and my pole is back in the rib that I've already cracked. And I'm like, I can't believe it. And there's a big rock by my head. And I'm like, that was lucky. That was so lucky. And at that point, it's just like, right, I'm not genius. I'm clearly... And I just rang Richard and said, this is going to take some time because I am walking down this hill and to get there safely, because it was just one of those. And I know it happens to all of us, and you just occasionally have those moments where you catch your toe. And I've done it in Lakeland 100 and ended up with massive stone rash. And it was just like, okay, final straw, now take your time. And so I didn't start running until you go up that very steep hill before Kirkgate. And I got to the top of that hill and it's like, right, now I'm running. And then I was like, oh my God, it's miles. What have I done?
Oh, it is miles. It's a good 500 meters.
What now? I've got to keep running. I was like, oh, that was a real mess up. I'm not sure I did enjoy it, in all honesty, Gary, because you don't want to run. Your body just says, I've had enough. It's
so empty, so empty. You can't even...
Could Richard not go? You've got hours, Anna, don't worry. You've got no one's chasing you down.
But he did say that, but your brain doesn't compute that. No. It's just like, it must be catching.
Now you've had some time to process it. It would probably be a different answer from the finish to what is now. When you look back on that, how do you feel as one of your career performances?
Well, okay, so the time between... So when I crossed the line, it was just pure amazing relief that my foot was there, relief that I'd been able to do it. Winning, losing, none of that was really... It was about I've finished. That's amazing. The overall was lovely, but I don't know whether this is allowed to say this, but I tend to only race women anyway, because that's the people I tend to race. And so to win against the men was great, but actually it was winning was just nice. It didn't really matter who it was, if I'm honest. So and seeing everyone at the end was amazing, because it's the Spine family piece and lots of them, and it was just a big tick. So that the big process, I think, in the 4 weeks since is there was so much I got wrong again. There's so much, it was slow, which compared to other years it was slow, and it was slow for a variety of reasons. Pack's heavier, I was slower, but the sleep. So it's okay, what can I learn? So the processing has been, what can I take away from that race to make the next ones better? And so that's been the processing. I have taken the time to enjoy the fact it happened, because I think it's really easy to put it in a box and move forward and not actually take the time to go, oh, that was great. That was really, really fun. But now there's lots to take away from that and work on and try and make better for Race Across Scotland and try and work through.
And are you still feeling hungry for that? When you did, are you yeah, I'm back. I want to do more races. I want to be competitive. That sort of reignited that a little bit after so long not being able to do that.
Yes, because it gives a bit of a purpose. I mean, I have to say, Eddie, one of the joys of doing it for me as an older athlete and then having some success with it is I love the fact it motivates and inspires another group of women to do it. Reality is, if you don't win things, you don't get to talk to you and Gary, you don't get to do podcasts, you don't get that platform to be able to let other people know it's possible and we're all muddling along and it might look smooth and like this dot knows what it's doing all the way up the Pennines, but actually, like everyone, I'm making it up as I go along. It's just maybe more experience means you make it up slightly better. That for me is the joy. And so while I can keep doing that, I love doing that. And so that is something that does inspire me to keep doing it. Race Across Scotland will be fun because it's just something I've never done. And the reason it's in is because I put Northern Traverse in, the Spine in, and then I put Race Across Scotland in, thinking maybe, cross fingers, one of those I will be able to race. Obviously Northern Traverse went and the Spine has happened, and Race Across Scotland feels far enough away to do it. The Lakeland 100 piece I'm desperate to do because I love that community. I did do Lakeland 100 after 2022, and mentally I didn't have it. My legs were fine, everything was fine, but I was getting to aid stations going, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and chat to Sharon because I can't be asked. The reason I finished it was because I was like, hang on, sort yourself out. There's all these people behind who are working really hard. You're absolutely fine. Sort yourself out and get to the finish. So I think mentally I was a bit shot without realising I was a bit shocked. That's another reason for making sure I don't race Lakeland 100. Forget the foot, but it's as much about making sure I really am keen and ready for Race Across Scotland.
So what will the next few weeks, because it's not long now, I'm about to go into my taper for Race Across Scotland. What are you going to try and fit in a couple of like sort of mini training weeks?
Well, I've gone back into normal training anyway. So I will do whatever I can gym-wise now. I mean, you know how the gym is always the thing that goes the minute life takes over. I shouldn't admit to that, but it is always the thing that goes. But I will try and do a solid little baby block of 3 or 4 weeks of, how long have we got? We've got 3 weeks, haven't we? Yeah, so 2 weeks then.
We're in denial, Anna. We're in denial.
I'll try and do 5 or 6 little sessions in the gym to make my puny arms a bit less puny. And then I'll do my physio bits a little bit. I will be on the watt bike 3 times a week and only doing runs 2 or 3 times a week. And I'll just try and do lots of hiking in between. And the watt bike, I'll just let my heart rate do what it wants to do. And I probably should do something really hard, but I'll probably just run up some hills. What I won't try and do is anything really VO2 maxy, because honestly, I can't see the point at this point.
Yeah, and nothing really long, I guess, either, because you just don't need that. You don't need to do any big mega days now, really. Mega as in, like, I would probably do like 4 or 5 hours, another couple of those, probably just for the pack, just for like to remind, and just because that's what I like doing.
Yeah, but all 3 of us have been running for like well over like 15 years. I don't think you really need to.
I know, but I like doing the long runs. They're the best bit.
But that fitness and strength, it's there, isn't it? I think just keep it cool. I'm really the watt bike. I think keeping fit but without the impact. I think that's quite a valuable tool to have in your locker.
And I mean, I think when it was coming up to the Spine, my mantra in my mind was I've got to get to the start not broken. I mean, that was the only thing that ultimately mattered. Forget anything fitness. It was like you could do bike all the way up to it. Just get there not broken. And a great friend of mine from the rowing world always says, you know, yeah, you can go for another run, but you might fall off the curb and you're not going to get any fitter. It was so true. And in that last week or 2, you're not really going to get that much fitter, but you might fall off the curb. So I will probably transition just to ticking over, Eddie. And now it's just about coming back to, I really like training. So that's probably what really will keep me going over the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's just I'll train because I like it.
Will you always keep the watt bike in now? Will it always be part? We had a question. Who is it from, Gary? Someone asking about cross training. Oh, Jessica Friend. She said, I'd love to know how, if Anna has changed her training over the past few years as she's got older and she manages being an older female runner. This is from an older female runner. This is from Jessica Friend. Yes, you probably added the bike in because you were injured, but now would you say it's like an essential part of your training?
Yeah, the bike first joined our training because of small children. And we could do it first thing in the morning while they were asleep upstairs. And, you know, if you chat to our children now, it's like white noise. We used to wake up to a turbo trainer. It's like, oh, mentally scarred children, great. That was when we first started to do it. And we could only really get out for long runs at weekends because we were parents and everyone knows how that looks. So then we moved into the watt bike as real training when I first started to injure myself, because outside I used to fall off and then that would just, you know, I love being outside and I really, really love doing those big pelotons, and I used to get very excited about doing sportifs and I've done loads of them. But the risk now is quite large when you come off a bike, and we know too many people who've really destroyed themselves on road bikes. So if I'm really a runner for now, I'd rather use an indoor bike.
You also never stop pedaling on the indoor bike, so every second, if you're going to sit on it, and you get to watch Netflix.
And you get to watch Netflix and you put it in erg mode and that's it. You just don't have to think. So I love that about the watt bike. The reason I won't take it out as well is it does take a while to get your bottom acclimatized.
Saddle ready, yeah.
So now it's acclimatized. I don't really want to go back to that very painful period.
When you sit on it oh, and you have to pedal and you're like, oh, oh.
Yeah. So having gone beyond that and having the proper shorts, I'm all over just sticking with that. I also at Lakeland 100 a few years ago was chatting to the guy who'd run the V60, and I said to him, how's your training changed? How have you stayed competitive? And he said, I run less. Keeping time on feet is really key. So just doing lots of hiking is really important. So we will often go out for an evening walk. It's quite when it's not dumping rain, and do 4 or 5 miles just chatting, being out in the fells, out and about. I think that is just as good for ultra. Ultimately, if you're doing the heart rate stuff on the bike, the odd 2 or 3 runs a week, and that, I think, plus of course the weights when you remember. So no, I won't drop it, Eddie, because it really does keep that consistent heart rate training, and it means I can go, if I want to blast it, do 3 15 minutes. I can on the days I feel like it. They don't happen that often. You can do it without risking destroying yourself.
It's definitely when I've done race across Scotland and I go into my northern Trevert, that like pre-winter block, I'm going to have to harden the butt cheeks off again because I've not been on my bike for a few months. Because I think as well, when you've been running for so long, mixing it up and changing it, and I'm going to go back on the bike again for the winter.
Well, keeps it fresh. Keeps it fresh.
I love a bit of Zwift.
One last question from a Patreon, Nigel. He trashed his feet, but did you have any special, we use this trench cream. Do you do anything special, your foot regime before these big races?
My foot regime is nothing until I'm in the races, at which point, for me, what works is those fabulous stripy Dexel socks, those amazing waterproof jobs that I wear. And I mean, I have debated this stuff to myself as well, whether they slightly compress your calves when they're up. Because when it's really hot, I just shove them down. And whether when they're up, actually, it helps. I've no idea. That bit I've no idea. But anyway, they're super waterproof and I love those. And then my sort of secret sauce is the Assos chamois cream. I smear Assos chamois cream all over the inside of those socks and all over my feet. So you know how the men always put the chamois cream straight onto their shorts? So I do that straight onto the inside of the socks and then all over my feet as well. That works a treat. I had hardly any blisters in the spine. I mean, I've got a few from my new orthotics, but apart from that, I had nothing. And nothing that a couple of paracetamol, every 10 hours didn't take the edge off, which meant you can carry on moving normally. Because for me, that's it. I want to be able to move normally.
Good shout. Quick 5 time. We've got time for that.
Quick 5. I thought of a new title for the quick 5. Sip your tea. Sipping your tea. Maybe.
Sipping your tea.
Sipping your tea time. Let's all have a sip.
It sounded better in your head.
Yeah, it sounded better in my head.
and the companies wouldn't be happy, Eddie. You've got to say brew. If you don't say brew. It's not here.
Okay, Anna, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Definitely early bird.
So would you get up and do your session early? I don't want to do mine in the evening, but I don't know if I could do it 7 a.m. No,
I get up, have 2 coffees, eat my breakfast and then do it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I can't do it without breakfast.
Oh no.
Anton Deck call. I'm not too sure if you've watched this when you've been on the treadmill, but the very popular TV show I'm a Celebrity, they are calling you, Anna. They want you to come on. Would you go into the jungle?
Absolutely not. I'm a veggie and you've got to eat all those creepy crawlies.
That's exactly what I said, Anna. I was like, how do they cater for veggies? Because I'm not eating any of those poor animals' balls.
Can you imagine? Oh, no.
But I would like to jump out of the helicopter and do the bridges when they jump for the...
way.
Oh, no. Oh.
No. The whole thing just had too much horror in it. No.
They must have some of the celebrities, they don't do the tasks on a medical exemption. I wonder if they've got some food exemptions for vegetarians. I'm going into too many details.
But then Gary, you're not going to win, are you? You've got to do those terrible things.
Yeah, you've got to do those things.
What's the point of going in? Yeah, no.
Right, we'll put your name forward, Anna.
Big fans of the show, Anton Deck. Last year, the Lakeland Hundreds theme was Top Gun, and you could pick your call sign. If they repeated that, Anna, what would your call sign be?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one, Gary.
Gary's, what was yours, Gary, in the end?
Heavy flex.
Yours would have to be what bike or something, Anna?
Super Trooper.
Super Trooper. Yeah, there you go. Super Trooper.
Gary already felt it.
So it doesn't have to be a race, but bucket list challenge or race, something that you really love to do.
I really want to do. Is it the GR? I can never remember. I think it's the GR5. It's the one that goes all the way from Geneva down to Nice. That is on my bucket list, but I'd like to sort of speed pack it as opposed to spending months and months or weeks and weeks doing it, because and that I think would be just an amazing journey through some really beautiful bits. And I'm fairly sure it is I think it is the GR5.
Yes, it's the GR5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you think that? I just always think that looks amazing. So it's not a bucket list race per se. On the racing front, I'd love to go and do some of the long 200s in America or the
Me too.
but getting
Me
into
too.
those is like, I think I'm 179 on the waiting list for Kona 250. So I won't be doing that one clearly. But that I'd love that. They look really runnable, really nice. Apart from bears and snakes and the things I'm not that excited about, they look, they look really good.
You never know, Anna. That waiting list starts clicking down as people cancel their entries or they can't do it. Keep refreshing
I'm
the
there.
browser.
They just have to, move me up it and I'm there.
Which race is Leroy doing? He was off to do Big 200. Was it one of Candice's races?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Well, I want to do Winter 200 as well, the Winter Downs 200, but it's too close to a Winter Spine.
Oh, you thinking you're going to spine it again?
Yeah, so I think it would.
My God, you pack it in, Anna. You pack it in.
Well, there'll be ages between Race Across Scotland and a Winter Spine. There'll be a long time.
There's Northern Traverse as well, isn't there? Oh my goodness.
That's not till April time.
Yeah.
Right.
God, you and Gary, you can't do a podcast together. You'd be absolutely like, so I've signed up for another one.
I'd be ruined. Instagram story music time, and every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, and we'll put a song to our Instagram story. You've got the choice. What's it going to be?
Or do something Killers.
Oh, we like the Killers.
I love the Killers. I was there on that football final when they did it, and they just sat down and watched the football on the big screen in the O2. It was amazing. We did that show twice. I love going to the Killers live.
I love that, Anna, that you are the stripy deck shell wearing trail legend and that you love the Killers as well. It says a lot about your personality, that, of this lovely smiling lady. Loves
I'm also the mum of two that like the Killers, so we get to do all sorts of
you are
fun
cool.
stuff.
Cool, mum. The last question we ask you is we share every week our guest favorite workout of the week, what they go to, and this can be a bike workout if you want, because lots of our listeners love to cross train as well. Debbie, I'll give you a hint. Debbie gave us a chunky tempo of 3 by 10 minutes. Yeah, she that was her workout of the week. But we've had sunset hikes, we've had fartleks, we've had all sorts from people.
Joy Miles.
What is your Joy Miles? What is your sort of go-to session? If you can't think of a session, or your favourite thing?
My go-to session is just get on the watt bike, warm up, hold, whatever those watts happen to be for that individual. For me, it tends to be 180 for 2 hours. And
oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my life 6 times a week. So, in all honesty, that is the workout. That was the go-to.
Okay, so we can sort of translate that as a bit of a warm up, go to your steady, comfortable but not comfortable pace and hold it for as long as you can. As long as you've got, basically.
As long as you got. At one point, I was inspired by that amazing chap who won the speed skating and published his whole training.
That was...
Love that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you love to be gifted the youth and time to be able to dip back into a training plan like that? Amazing.
4 to 6 hours sitting on a bike. That's where I had to go 4 hours a day. I was like, I can't be doing with this.
No, life does have to happen as well. Anna, we can't be more delighted to see your name back on Open Tracking, to have followed that race. We love the story of the race, how it unfolded, how you handled it. I have followed your Strava for the last 2 years, every single day, being inspired by your religious, what biker, multitasking, didn't feel it, got it done. It is like, if you don't follow Anna on Strava, it was all very realistic, and we answered a question today actually on the podcast about how you're motivated and how you make training exciting. And I very clearly said training isn't exciting. Like, you can't expect, it's just grinding, and you've got to learn to love the grind. And you are the absolute, you need a t-shirt, love the grind on, because every day you've shown up, and I bet lots of people that have been on the injury bench for a long time are inspired by your comeback. And now we look forward. I will see you at Race Across. I'll jump into your DMs, Race Across
Northern Traverse.
Scotland. Maybe we might share 1 mile of chat until those stripy socks say, see you later, Eddie. But good luck with the next few weeks and your recovery. And gosh, what an exciting few years ahead for you. Well, many years, but so exciting to see you back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I might see you in Grasmere. Take care.
Yeah.
See you soon. Bye, Anna.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.